Hi, we're back, and now we have the opportunity to practice the content of Chapter 1. I hope that the memory device of Lou with an oasis and an omelet oozing has been helpful to you. So let's do some practice here. Present active indicative. Now, we're going to be doing some practice here, and I'm going to ask that you hit the pause button in a moment to do your work, and then we'll compare notes. Now, when we're working with verbs, we want to be able to identify the stem plus the ending. Look at the first one, hamartan amen. Hamartan is the stem, amen is the ending. The same holds true for the next word, baptidzata. Here we have the basic stem with baptids, and eta is the ending. Now, in this chapter and subsequent chapters, it is so important to be able to identify things like prefixes on a verb, suffixes on a verb, and the ending, and then the form of the verb. All of these things are so important for the correct parsing and translation of Greek verbs. So I'm going to hit my pause button here and would ask that you do the same, and then we'll come back and compare. Well, how did you do? All right, the first one, hamartan amen. Present active indicative, first person plural. We sin, or we are sinning. Baptidzata, present active indicative, second person plural, you baptize. Egerusin, present active indicative, third person plural, they raise up. Ginoske, present active indicative, third singular, she or he knows. Pempes, present active indicative, second person singular, you send. Blepe, present active indicative, third singular, he or she sees. Ekata, present active indicative, second person plural, you have or you hold. Akuusi, present active indicative, third person plural, they hear. Iro, present active indicative, first person singular, this is the vocabulary form. I take up or take away. With doxadzata, here we have our stem, doxads, and the ending. Present active indicative, second person plural, you glorify. Didaskusin, present active indicative, third person plural, they teach. And lege, present active indicative, third singular, he, she, it says or speaks. All right, now we have some more before us. So remember to identify the stem and the ending. I'll hit my pause button and resume with you in a few moments. Did you feel successful? I hope so. The first one, graphita. Present active indicative, second person plural, you write. Lambanusi, present active indicative, third person plural, they take or they receive. Krinos, vocabulary word. Krin is the stem, the omega is the ending. Present active indicative, first person singular, I judge. Luita, present active indicative, second person plural, you loose. Iramen, present active indicative, first person plural, we take up or we take away. Diokamen, present active indicative, first person plural, we pursue or we persecute. Balata, present active indicative, second person plural, you throw. Therapeusi, present active indicative, third person plural, they heal. Leges, present active indicative, second person singular, you say or you speak. And finally, blepamen, present active indicative, first person plural, we see. Now, we have a couple of scriptures here that contain the present tense. From John 1:43. Let's pronounce it together. Kai heuriske Philippon kai lege auto. All right, heuriske, present active indicative, third person singular. The context would be he. He finds. Philippon is the proper name, Philip. Kai lege, this is also present active indicative, third person singular, and he says to him. This is a common use in the Gospels of the historical present that often is translated in the past tense, but the historical present brings the drama before the eyes of the reader. And then in Romans 7:15, where Paul is struggling with himself, and let's pronounce that, ha gar katergadzamai u gnosko. Ha is a relative pronoun. Gar means for that which, katergadzamai, I produce, and the u there is a negative that negates the verb. And here we have the present active indicative, first person singular. I do not know. For that which I produce or work, I do not know. And finally, we have a couple more verses. This is from John 3:36. Let's pronounce it together. Ha pistuon eis tan huian eche zoein ionion. Ha pistuon is a participle, the one who believes. Eis tan huian, in the Son, and then we have the verb eche. Present active indicative, third person singular. Has, continues to have. Zoein means life, and aionion is eternal. From Luke 5:37, let's pronounce. Kai udes bale oinan neon eis askus paleus. Kai means and, udes is no one, and then we have bale, present active indicative, third person singular. Now in the context here, it wouldn't be throw, it would be pour. So pours new wine into askus, that's wine skins, and paleus is old. And finally, from 1 Corinthians 13, let's pronounce it. Ekmerus gar genoskamen kai ekmerus prophetuamen. Now, here's a verb down here we haven't had yet. We have prophetuo. That means I prophesy. There's the stem, and the omega is the ending. So the first part there, ekmerus, means in part, and gar means for, and you put it together, for in part. Then we have genoskamen. Present active indicative, first person plural. We know. Kai ekmerus, and in part. Then we have prophetuamen, present active indicative, first person plural. We prophesy. So for in part we know, and in part we prophesy. And indeed, the whole of 1 Corinthians 13, Paul is saying and underscoring the fact that everything that we do in the here and now is in part. And what is in part will be done away with when the perfect comes, that is, we see him face to face. So thanks so much, and I trust that the practice has been helpful to you.